By today, we are going to end with the first phase. As we divide the three phases, we are going to end with the first phase. So I'm going to provide the one more project, first project to all of you. Before we start about the project, all this thing, ultimate agenda for us. So far, we discussed about the basic statistics, basic all these things, but we haven't discussed anything about the how do we generate the insights, how do we generate the graphs,
क्या है
how do we generate the graphs, all these things. So in this session, today's session, we are going to discuss about how do we generate the basic graphs. Of course, for the graphs, basic graphs will be fine. For the extensively graphical purpose, we have the one package called as ggplot2 that we will discuss in the next phase. That is one of the important session that is important that we will discuss in the next phase. But today we are going to discuss just the basics of the graphs, as well as once we discuss the basic graphs, how do we generate the insights from the data, how do we generate the insights from relation between the two variables, how do we generate the numerical versus categorical variables, how do we generate the relationship between the two categorical variables. All these things we will discuss. Before we are going to discuss about, let me import the one data set, the same data set we were imported the yesterday. So in this data set, which consists of 35,375 with 11 observations, prerequisites before we are ready to produce the insights. Insight means just kind of reports or whatever your findings. Before we are finding the insights, you need to make sure with a few things. Those are, your data should not have, before finding out insights, please make sure that there is no missing values in our data. Even if you found any missing values, you have to treat the missing values. Next, ensure that your data does not have the outliers. Ensure that your data does not have the outliers. So before you finding the missing values as well as outliers, before you are discussing about insights, you have to make sure for every project, not only this project, for each and every project, you have to make sure that your data does not have any missing values as well as your data does not have any outlier. That is mandatory for each and every project. Once you have treat the missing values as well as you treat the outlier, then only you need to go with the other task. So okay, in our this data, yesterday we were discussing about the unbilled data. So in this unbilled data, we need to impute the missing values. How do we impute the missing values? First, for that we need to one package, impute the missing values. For that we have a one package called library impute missing. So unbilled data 1 is equal to underscore data 1 is equal to impute function is there, impute of unbilled underscore data. Automatically it will take care about all the missing values. let me cross verification purpose any NA of unbilled underscore data 1. So in this case, unbilled data says that it doesn't have the any missing value. Unbilled data, it says that it doesn't have any missing value. So you have to treat the outlier. How do we treat the outlier? By using the box plot, all these things, we can find out the outlier, and by using the median value, we need to replace the outlier values. That will be fine. Now, once we done the outlier treatment, all these things, assume that none of the outliers are. Now, the ultimate goal of this project, any project, not only this project, any project, first to try to understand the meaning of each and every variable. Before we are proceeding further, always make sure that try to understand the meaning of each and every variable. Here in the unbilled data, we have the variable, segment variable. Small segment means other segment, small segment, medium. Billing class, small enterprise, medium enterprise or large enterprise. Site billing status means live account or dead account. That means billing has been stopped or still billing is continue. That is the meaning of site billing status. Site status means clean or dirty. How much the account is clean, how much the account is dirty. Consumption is how much he has consumed in terms of electricity and as well as the gas. Value and how much he has to pay the bill. Billing frequency is nothing but whether the billing frequency is a monthly frequency or quarterly frequency. Root unbilled days, from how long the customer is not paying the bill. Root cause, what is the reason does the customer is not paying the bill? Voice attempt, does the company or executive, customer or executive has reached out the customer. How did they reach out the customer? And target means your dependent variable 1 or 0. 1 or 0 will be your dependent variable. Now, in the given data point, what you need to do? First, you need to segment variable is there. In segment variable, what are the segments we have? Let's say first in the segment variable we have, let's say doing analysis for categorical variables. For example, table of unbilled data $1 segment. So in this segment, we have a medium enterprise, others, segment TBA and small enterprise. As we look into this, most of the customers which are from the others segment, as we look into that, most of the customers which are falling into the others segment. Basically, whenever we are giving an insight to the client, how do you present? As we observed that in the segment variable, most of the customers which are belonging to other segment. Is it make a one kind of insight? Yes, it is a one insight. Now, here we have the billing class. Now, which is the billing class of the most customer? Does the billing class is for the small enterprise or medium enterprise? Okay, how do we now? Here we have, before we are going to that about other variable. Now we would like to show this variable into graphical format. Does the segment variable is a categorical variable or numerical variable? Categorical variable. How do we check whether the variable is a categorical variable or not? Class of unbilled data $1 segment variable. Segment variable is a categorical variable. In this categorical variable, we would like to showcase in the graphical format. Always categorical variable we will represent it either by using the bar plot or pie chart. Histogram we are basically going to use for the numerical variable purpose. Bar plot as well as a pie chart we are going to use for the categorical variable. Directly we cannot use the categorical variable. First what we need to do, if you would like to use the bar plot as well as the pie chart, first you need to find the frequency of that variable. For the categorical variables, directly we cannot use the either bar plot or pie chart. First we need to calculate the frequencies of a categorical. First we need to calculate the frequency of a categorical variable. Once we done the frequency of the categorical variable, then only we need to go with the plot. Let's say what happens without using the frequency calculation. If you draw the plot, what happens? What kind of error we may get it? Bar plot is the bar plot directly. Unbilled data $1 is the segment variable a categorical variable, right? Let's see. It throws an error. Error -1 hide non-numerical argument to the binary operator. So for this what we need to do, we need to keep x is equal to table of unbilled data $1 segment variable. So bar plot of x. See how we get an output like a medium enterprise, other segment, TBA, small enterprise. This is how we will get. And if you remember the difference between the bar plot as well as the histogram, both are looks the same, but bar plot represents the width of the data, histogram represents the height of the data. Bar plot and histogram both are looking the same, but bar plots are using for the categorical data, histogram are using for the numerical data. And one more difference is bar plot basically which represents the width of the data. So if you look into here, width is the too high, but whereas in the histogram it represents like the height of the data. Now suppose same thing we would like to draw the pie chart. How do we draw the pie chart? Pie of, see, maybe it is a small one, you are not able to see. This is the how pie chart looks like. Simple pi of x. Pi of x is nothing but it will represent the pie chart data. You can change the colors also. Here bar plot of x comma color is equal to colors is equal to red. You can in the normal by default in the colors we cannot change in the default things. Whenever we are using a ggplot, there you can change the colors. When we are discussing about ggplot, we will discuss about the colors. Okay. Next thing is the, now how many variables we are discussing in the categorical variable? Only one variable. Any questions, guys? Any questions? Giri?
No, Koti.
Thank you. Yeah. Now, so far we saw it only for the one variable. Now, we would like to use the relationship between the two variables. Now, let's say we have a billing class as well as a site billing class. How many such customers are there? Small and medium enterprise which are in the live and bill shop, as well as the, for example, we are using the table of unbilled data $1 billing class. Sorry. What happened? Okay. In table of this one second guys. Yeah, in the table of this one it says about the billing class, how many levels we have? Two levels. Industrial and commercial is the one level, small and medium enterprise is the another level. So if you looking into this data, who are the most of the customers? Small and medium enterprise customers are the most of the customers which are belonging to the small and medium enterprise customers. Now what we would like to do, we would like to find out the relationship between the two categorical variables. Let's say, does the we have a one billing frequency where does the most of the customers are with respect to the billing class, whether they are falling into the monthly frequency or quarterly frequency. Table of unbilled data $1 billing class, comma, unbilled data $1 billing frequency. See, industrial and commercial customers, by looking into this data, industrial and commercial are the billing class. Here the left side, this portion, industrial and commercial will be always the first variable. In the table function, we are giving the two variables, right? One is the billing class variable and other one is billing frequency variable. Always, whatever the variable which you are using the first variable, that always in the row variable. Whatever the in the table function, whatever the variable which you have used, that variable is the first variable. Like industrial commercial is the how many records we have? 523 records which are in the monthly bill. So it clearly indicates that industrial and commercial customers are the monthly billing customers. None of the customers, small and commercial, industrial and commercial customers, are not belonging to the monthly and quarterly. They are always into the monthly. Whereas the small and medium enterprise, very small portion of the data which are belonging to the monthly data. Most of the small and medium enterprise customers which are belonging to the quarterly data. Is it kind of an observation? Let's say x is equal to, same thing which I said, x is equal to table of, now bar plot of x. See how monthly customers are there, how quarterly customers are there. Even you are look, that is how it will give us. For example, if I mention the x, right, x means all these things, most of the customer. When it presented the graph, when it is presented the graph, it will adding up the both these things, 523 plus 646. That is the reason monthly value will be like this. This is the 0 value, next is the 5000 record, or around it will be the 10,000, it will be the 15,000. This line where my cursor is exactly that point, right? This point is the 10,000. So my data which is greater than 5,000, around which is a 6,400 plus 523, which is around 7,000 value. So look at the quarterly, which is the 28,000. So this is the line which is the 25,000 and more than. That is how it will show the graph. In real time industry, in the real time, whenever we are using, always most of the time we are using the table function. Always we are need to look for the cross verification, as well as the we need to check the cross relationship between the two categorical variables. Always we need to check for the cross verification purpose. Here in this case, how do we do this one? How do we do this one? Here in this case, how do we, this is how we did for the, what about the numerical variable? This is how we have done for the categorical variable. Now we would like to present the numerical variable. How do we present the numerical variable? Analysis for numerical variable. Here in this case, we have a function called hist. Hist is nothing but histogram. Histogram unbilled data $1 consumption. Consumption first, let's check, does the consumption is a numerical variable or a character variable? Class of unbilled data $1 consumption. Does the consumption is a category variable or numerical variable? It is a numerical variable. Numerical variable to represent in the graphical format, we have to use the histogram. Histogram of this is the most of the customer. 10 e to the power of 0 value, 1 to the power of e to the power of 7, 2 into e to the power of 0.7, 3 into e to the power of 7. As I mentioned, right, bar plot and histogram, the difference. Bar plot represents the width of the data. Here when you look into the height of the data is high. For the numerical data, this is the histogram, height of the data is very high. Even you can look for the other variables also. Let's say histogram unbilled data $1 unbilled days. This is how most of the customers which are falling. Here most of the customers unbilled days, which is which is around 200 or 150, which is more number of customers are falling into this graph. Right now, if you would like to understand our comparison between the two numerical variables, how do we compare the two numerical variables? To compare the two numerical variables, we are going to use the scatter plot. To compare the two numerical variables, we are going to use the scatter plot. How do we write scatter? Scatter plot means simply we write plot of unbilled data $1 value unbilled, comma unbilled data $1 unbilled days. See, most of the value unbilled customers are, if you look into this data, this is the dark line which indicates most of the customers are falling in this area. Dark line which indicates most of the customers. So most of the value unbilled customers which are less than 20,000 somewhere, like only most of the unbilled customers having the dues. So as the unbilled value is increasing, less number of customers are not paying the bills. Most of the customers are paying the bill. To compare the two numerical variables, we are going to use the scatter plot. in the scatter plot, how we are going to use it? In this case, we are simply using the unbilled days versus value unbilled. Whatever the first value which you represent in the plot, x-axis comma y-axis. In the x-axis will be the first variable in the x-axis. Before comma is the x-axis. After comma will be your y-axis. To compare the two numbers, you may get an ask question: is it possible to compare the two one categorical variable versus one numerical variable? One categorical variable versus one numerical plot of unbilled. Ideally, it is not possible. Let's see what happens. Unbilled days comma x. X and y are the different lengths. So it throws an error. If you want to draw this, your data should be always x-axis and y-axis should have the equal length of observation. Then only you can able to draw. Otherwise, you cannot able to draw this. Otherwise, you cannot draw this. This is how we will generate the thing. Now let me show you the project. What are the project instructions? What you need to do. First step will be write objective of the analysis. In this case, what we are going to do? We are doing the exploratory data analysis. Exploratory data means finding out the insights for both categorical variable as well as the numerical variable. Understand the data, read the data dictionary. In the real time, for each and every project, they are going to provide you the datasets along with the dataset for each and every dataset. Whatever the variable is nothing but column. For each and every column, they will provide you the meanings. What is the column name? All these things they will provide the meaning. Those are called as the data dictionary. Do the basic data exploration. That means import the data. Do some basic data checks like rows and columns. How many rows in our data? How many columns? How do you find how many rows and columns in the data set? By using the dim function, we will get to know how many rows and columns. What are the variable names? How do we get to know what are the variable names? By using the names function, we will get to know what are the variable names. Write the formats of each variable. Does it a character variable, or does it a numerical variable? Are they consistent with the data dictionary? For example, let's say we have one variable. Let's say consumption is one variable. Unfortunately, consumption is a numerical variable in the data dictionary. But in the data, some of the records, which is a categorical records, automatically does it represent a category or numeric? Categoric only, right? For example, consumption is a 10, 20, 40 like that. And somewhere they written like 0. 0 also they written like 𝐧𝐸RO. They did not write the 0. Maybe it's a spelling mistake or some type of mistake. So does it represent the character data or does it represent numerical data? Character data. But what about the data dictionary about the consumption? Numerical data. Are they consistent each other? No, they are not the consistent. So we need to investigate what could be the reason why it is not showing the correct. You need to check what is the mistake. Again, go with the table function. All these things. Check the data. That is the meaning. Explain the variable meanings. Are you able to understand the each and every variable meaning? Are there any missing values in the data? Yes, are there any missing values in our data? Right, you can find out the is.na by using the is.na function. You can find out the missing value. Divide the data set into two portions, training data set as well as the test data set. So divide the two data sets. Of course, you know very well how to divide the data. Now go through each and variable, find out the missing values as well as the outlier. If the variable is a continuous variable, draw the box plot, calculate the percentile, find the basic statistic, dispel summary of the statistic. Dispel means descriptive status. What all comes under the descriptive statistics? Mean, median, mode, count, standard deviation, variance, range. If the variable is a categorical variable, find the discrete or create a frequency table. Frequency means by using the table function, you can calculate the. If you find any missing values or outliers, try to clean the data by using the imputing function. Replace the missing value with mean or median. Replace the missing category with the most categorical variable based on the target variable. Visualization. Try to give the basic summary of the data. Summary function. Summary means summary function. For each and every well, try to identify the interest pattern. Draw the graph. Like categorical, how do we draw the graph? The same way we can draw the graph. Create an individual graph for each and every variable. Try to find out the graph. Try to use the good visualization packages. Normal, no required as of this point. Try to perform the bivariate analysis, means two variable relationship. Document your results. Write down your insight. Any point you guys will feel that is not clear in this document. So whatever the topics which we have covered so far, each and every topic which is included in this document. This is your first assignment. For this assignment, we are going to give the 2 days time. Tomorrow and day after tomorrow. You have to submit this assignment by Monday. So by now we completed our first phase.